check. Tell me when y'all ready.
You guys all set back there? Looks like good.
Okay, hey, it was a good, hard-fought win at home. Our crowd was unbelievable. Really appreciate our crowd. Looking at the game, there's some things that stood out. We started out with a 20-play drive. I think it took almost 10 minutes. We only got 3 points with that. That's really the first time I've seen that. Probably the big key play of the game was the block punt right before halftime. That gave us some momentum going to halftime. Our defense got off the field as soon as we came back out. We were able to establish the run better once the second half got going. That was really good. I think we had 285 yards rushing. They're one of the best teams in college football of TFLs, playing behind the line of scrimmage, and they did a really good job with that. Our defense did a good job. We did give up some yards, but once we got in the red zone, man, they came up, came up big time and time again. We almost had 7 points. That was really close when the ball went out of the back of the end zone. But the thing about that play, even though we didn't get points, we flipped the field. And I thought that was really big with that. Then Boomer, he had 4 field goals. He's off to a super start. I think 2 of them were 40-plus yards. And they were during prime time. They were during pressure situations. So our team is growing. I thought it was a quality win. There's a lot of things we can correct, which is good, moving forward. But it's a quality win. I'm very proud of our players and our coaches. Questions?
What do you think about John Rice bluntly? Obviously led the team in rushing, passing wise, struggled a little bit. How did he do out there?
Yeah, obviously in the first half, there's a couple that he'd like to have back throwing the football. One over the middle that he threw up for grabs. We got to correct that. In the second half, he threw it a little bit better. We did have a drop late in the game right there with that, but we got to do better in the passing game. You look at the stats right there. Had 284 yards rushing, 49 yards passing. Last week we were balanced. We got to be more balanced, once we get in a conference play.
What do you think of your defense's performance? It seemed like they slowed them down on offense, I guess.
They did. We gave them some yards, but the sign of a good defense, once you get as the field condenses, they answer the bell time and time again. And there was a lot of times right there we held them on 4th down, like either 2, possibly 3 times inside the 20-yard line. We put some pressure on the field goal kicker. He missed a couple. I think it was because we blocked one last week. So they did some really good things once we got in the red zone.
Coach, you mentioned that the momentum shift for the block punt before the half, huge part of the game. Also, Colton Boomer 4-4. Is it safe to say that special teams is the bright spot of this game, and kind of what were you working on to where you got it from this point?
Yeah, special teams helped us win the game. And we've been talking about special teams. We need to start helping us win games. We got some really good players in special teams, and so all but the 40-yard return that we gave up, I thought we did good. We did have another penalty on special teams. We've got to correct that, but we're growing. And so that's a good sign. I say that's the biggest thing. I think our defense holding a Division I opponent to 10 points is really good too.
Coach, what's the most frustrating thing about the inconsistency in John Rice's performance?
There were some times I wish we had a couple of those back, but he still learned the offense. He did the things that it took to win the game in the second half. So, that's how I look at it.
It seemed like there was some frustration mounting on the field at different points in the first half, and then that punt block you mentioned was a pivotal moment in the game. So how did the emotion and the mood on the sideline change?
I was frustrated with the players were.
The players looked a little bit frustrated.
Yeah, golly, we had chances, we had opportunities, and I think when you have opportunities, we were close to kind of putting the game away there. There was a few plays that were really close that we could have extended things and caught our breath, and we weren't able to do that. Had a few drops right there. We had the overthrow, on the throwback to the quarterback. There were some things that were really close to scoring quite a few points.
And how did the punt block change the emotion?
Yeah, it gave us a little breathing room. Gave us some momentum. When you go in the locker room with momentum, that's a really big thing in college football.
What's your takeaway from the way What's your takeaway from the way your offense played? Was that a product more of you did what you needed to win, or more of where it is?
Well, we did what we needed to win. When you rush for 285 yards in college football, I think you've got to really look at the things you were good at. We were really good at that. Against a really good run defense, I felt like they was really taking some chances. What we need to do to be a complete offense is be more balanced. That was the big takeaway for me. We had a couple of opportunities in the pass game that we didn't take advantage of, and if we would have done 2 or 3 of them, I think we'd have felt better. But we're still growing. We're still learning. We're still growing. We just gotta continue to build upon it.
Less than 50 passing yards, how hard do you have to look at quarterback before you open conference play Saturday?
I mean, you know, what are we, 3-1? 3-1, we beat a quality opponent. You know, we're still growing, we're still building.
After a bunch of penalties the first 2 weeks, 3 last week, 3 this week, how nice has it been to clean up that department? Penalties.
Yeah, we corrected that, and hats off to our coaches. You know, I told you, I mean, penalties are on the head coach, man. I mean, you're either a disciplined team or you're not. First 2 weeks, I didn't get it done. We're on our way to being a disciplined team, you know, so we're just gonna keep harping it. We gotta coach it better. And 3 is still too many, you know, and so we're just gonna keep doing that. And I just told our guys, man, we got a good football team. We can't beat ourselves. And if we don't beat ourselves, then I think we'll be pretty tough to beat.
2 more questions here.
Coach, you mentioned when you were in Louisville, you guys were disappointed that you couldn't deliver the win for the fans, but the fans showed up again tonight. You gave them the ACC win. How do you feel about that?
And the fans were unbelievable. This is a great place to play and coach a game, and just hats off to our fans. They helped us win this game today.
Yeah, guys, Quadric obviously had the punt block return for a touchdown. It was the second one of the season so far. What has he done for you guys on that special teams unit?
Yeah, he has a true knack, you know, of getting after it. You know, as far as blocking the punt, he scooped and scored the first one. I think Jarvis Ware was actually the one that blocked that punt, and he scooped it up. But Jarvis did a good job. He's going to start being more and more a part, you know, what we're doing defensively and special teams.
Coach, that's great.
Okay, thank you all.
Thanks, Coach.